Your badge is real, but your name is flexible. Fluorescent lights, paperwork, a plain hotel room near a training site where nobody asks questions. You memorize faces, routes, and lies with the same discipline. Because later, one mistake gets someone hurt. This is your life, level by level, inside the US Secret Service. Level 1: The Recruit, where ambition meets anonymity. The day starts before sunrise at FLETC. Damp air, sweat already on your back as you run drills, then sit in a classroom taking notes on surveillance detection routes and counterfeit notes under a magnifier. Later, you're at the James J. Rowley Training Center in Maryland, practicing protective formations on a marked floor, radios crackling, instructors watching your hands. You carry a notebook like it's a weapon. You learn how to build a cover identity, a believable employer, a phone number that rings, a rent receipt, a social media footprint that looks boring enough to be true. You tell yourself it's just training. You tell yourself it's procedure. You tell yourself it's temporary. The burden isn't the physical work. It's the habit you're growing, never saying where you are, never explaining why you can't be photographed, never letting your real routines show. You earn small things. Access to better instructors, extra range time, a nod from someone who never nods. And you realize anonymity isn't the absence of a name, it's the first lie you learn to love. Level 2: Field Agent, where duty meets danger. Your first office smells like burnt coffee and toner. A field division hallway with scuffed tile, case files stacked in gray cabinets, and a whiteboard full of targets and dates. You sit in briefings with IRSC, DIA, and local detectives on a joint task force, then spend your afternoon in a rented sedan watching a check cashing spot that never looks like the movies. At night, you dress like the people you're trying to reach. Cheap watch, plain shoes, a story about moving money that's rehearsed down to the pauses. You tell yourself you're in control. You tell yourself your cover is solid. You tell yourself nobody can see your pulse in your throat. Your power is proximity. You can walk into a strip mall office and hear the language of laundering structured deposits, wire transfers, prepaid cards, shell companies registered in Florida. The cost is that you start laughing at jokes you're supposed to record, and you can't correct anyone without risking everything. You're not chasing criminals anymore, you're borrowing their oxygen to keep breathing. Level 3: Investigator, where deception becomes a skill. Now the work is quieter and sharper. You spend hours in an interview room with a table bolted to the floor, then pivot to a surveillance van where the equipment hums and the air conditioner fights a losing battle. You draft affidavits, track phone numbers, map relationships, and sit through cross-agency calls that turn tense the moment jurisdiction is mentioned, especially after the shift into the Department of Homeland Security. Your undercover meets technology. A court-authorized wiretap. A burner phone that never leaves your body. A meet in a crowded Wawa parking lot where you talk to someone who wears a suit and still flinches like a street guy. You tell yourself paranoia is awareness. You tell yourself you can read micro-expressions. You tell yourself you're still the same person. The burden is complexity. One bad time stamp, one sloppy chain of custody signature, one wrong word on a recorded call, and months collapse in court. Your power is information: names, routes, bank accounts, corrupt favors. But the more you know, the fewer people you can talk to without spilling yourself. Your identity doesn't crack in one moment, it frays like a rope you keep trusting. You've learned to build a cover and live inside it. Next, you stop visiting danger and start residing there long enough that your real life becomes the thing you barely recognize. Level 4: Senior Operative, where you live inside the cover. Your apartment looks intentionally forgettable. Beige carpet, a microwave that still has the sticker on it, a mailbox name that isn't yours. You wake up to a burner alarm, check a second phone for missed calls, then drive a loop you've driven so many times you can feel the lights before you see them. Briefings happen in motion now: parking lots, escalators, the quiet edge of a food court. You trade packets, photocopied ledgers, ATM stills, a hand-drawn diagram of a back room. Your clothes are chosen for the room you'll be in, not the person you are. You tell yourself the small lies don't count. You tell yourself the tone of your voice is just a tool. You tell yourself you can step out whenever you want. This level gives you autonomy. You pick the meet location. You decide when to push, when to stall, when to cut an asset loose before they drag you down. You also inherit consequences. An informant who's suddenly spooked, a surveillance car burned, a UC introduction that goes sideways because someone recognizes a detail you forgot you mentioned. You become the adult in a room full of loaded mistakes. The cover isn't a mask anymore, it's a room you keep redecorating until you can't remember which walls were ever yours. Level 5 Covert Coordinator, where you run the board and carry the silence. The office door stays shut more often than it's open. A dry erase board filled with initials, date ranges, and color-coded risk levels. A safe with sealed envelopes. A shred bin that gets emptied like it's evidence. You move between a morning protective intel call and an afternoon counterfeit briefing, because the service doesn't let you live in only one lane. Your phone is a metronome, case officer updates, prosecutor questions, a field supervisor asking if you can hold an op because a detail needs bodies. You review operational plans, meet protocols, arrest timing, surveillance positions, medical contingencies. You sit with a new undercover and watch their hands shake around a paper cup, then hand them a cover legend like you're issuing a weapon. You tell yourself you're protecting them. You tell yourself you're balancing the mission. You tell yourself distance is professionalism. This level is command without ceremony. You decide who gets exposed to risk and who gets pulled back. You coordinate deconfliction with FBI and local PD so two teams don't hit the same target blind. You sign off on payments to sources, knowing a receipt can become a headline in court. Your power is control of the chessboard. And the burden is simple. You never get to be surprised, because everyone else is counting on you to already know. Even at the top of the ladder you can still smell the van upholstery, still hear the click of a burner closing, still feel the pause before you say a name you're not supposed to have. The titles change, the access expands, the rooms get quieter, but the job keeps the same demand: be believable, be precise, be ready to disappear on command. And you do.